This is Conversations at Lunch with Emmanuel Adike.
And in 5, 4, 3, 2. I know you see the right word waiting for me, and it's wonderful. Welcome everybody to another episode of Conversations at Lunch. And if you know that song I just sang, you're old enough to get married. And that was definitely from iCarly. I love that series, by the way, because I don't know, it kind of like, somehow some of these movies are prophecies, permit me to say. When I say prophecies, I mean like they kind of like pointed to what the future was going to turn into. And it would be the future of streamers everywhere. We'd have Kai Cenat, we'd have, I don't know who else, Show Speed. I don't know if we have Christian streamers though. I'm not sure we have Christians in that space. And understandably why, honestly. Because that'll be you spending hours on end just streaming. Okay, wait. We have a couple Christian streamers, my bad. Yeah, we have a couple. Yeah. Oh my goodness. Ruslan, KD, come on. I love Ruslan. You probably need to check Ruslan out. But anyway, that's not what we're here to do. Welcome to another episode of my favorite podcast in the entire world, Conversations at Lunch. Yes, welcome. I think I should put a chair there. To our returning followers and subscribers, to every new subscriber, yes, all these cheers and applause are indeed, yours, because you are the man, you are the woman of the moment. All right. Let me give you a lowdown real quick of what Conversations on Lunch really is about. Here we talk about things I would normally talk about at lunch. This week was my brother's birthday, and we sat at lunch and we were eating and we were having pretty insightful conversations, And so basically the idea of Conversations at Lunch is taking conversations that I have with people around me or have with myself inside of me and bringing it out here so that you can listen. And of course, we talk leadership, we talk faith, passion, and the problems of society. Somehow it's introspective thinking on a large scale. And if that makes any sense, slap me a high five quickly. All right. Today is going to be a very interesting episode, and I'll tell you why. I was on X the other day, and I saw a tweet, and the tweet I saw, it was, I'm not gonna go into details as to, the actual details of what was written in the tweet, because it's quite enraging, honestly. But I noticed that just as I saw the tweet, and I was like, why would people even think like this? In fact, if you check my X, that's formerly called Twitter, you would see me say, I literally, quoted that tweet and said, nonsense has never sounded more philosophical. Because it was nonsense. But even in all of that, I caught myself scrolling, through comments and all these things. And to make matters worse, I was getting annoyed. Yes, I was completely vexed at that point. I was getting annoyed about something that didn't even affect my life directly. And as that was happening, it hit me that we are in a generation that loves being outraged. We love outrage. What does outrage do for us, really? It's this adrenaline rush, outrage makes us feel alive, engaged, and it makes us feel like we're in the know. Especially, true story. I uninstalled X, months back, or probably last year, and I never even thought I would get back on that app. But something made me, one thing happened to another, and I just go back on the app. And I don't know if I'm enjoying it, because you see, should I talk about the fact that it is very distracting to see different conversations around different topics and ideas just literally flying through my timeline. It's like it's distracting because number one, it's short, and then to make matters worse, it's distracting because there are tweets like the one I said, I saw the other day that are just nonsense that sound highly philosophical. Right. And I discovered that many of us, we love this adrenaline rush, as I was saying. It's the outrage that makes us feel alive. We feel engaged. We have this had benefits, but not benefits. Are things that outrage does for us. We love this outburst on social media. We love to comment. So, it's quite funny how these days, whenever you watch something interesting, the first thing you do before you even like sometimes is to check the comment section. You want to see people's take on it because it somehow fuels you. You want to know who echoes your thought, who is thinking what I'm thinking. You know what I'm saying? Who is thinking what I'm thinking. I won't say it. I saw a video the other day, something funny, just to throw it in there, of a pastor in the US something. This guy is pretty fat. I mean, he's like, I'm not trying to shame, so I'll be kind about it, but he's monstrously heavy physically. I mean, and I'm not saying he's built. No, I'm saying like he's fed. He's not. He's well fed. That's what I should have said. Well fed. And then this dude started talking about fasting. The essence of fasting. You need to fast and everything like that. And I swear to God, the first thing I did was I checked the comment section. And yep, you bet you're behind. I saw what I was looking for. Somebody said, "Yep, I know you're thinking it. I'm not gonna say it. Just like this comment." It's just super funny because these days we're in a comment generation. You see. So what the outrage does for us is, like I said, it gives us the adrenaline. Hey, in English, you're not familiar with the adrenaline rush, right? It also gives us this moral attitude. It's like a moral high. Because you are angry. Because being angry can make us feel like we are morally superior. Now, of course, I know that some things are just complete balderdash on the internet. Some things are just complete nonsense. But one thing I also discovered? I discovered that influencers thrive in that business by making posts that are controversial. That's their field, that's their world, right? And so, back to what we're talking about. Some of these guys, this is how they grow their page, I discovered. So they make a post, like one came out the other day, a musician came out the other day and said, fornication is not a sin. And that's all that he made. That's all the posts he made. And the reason he did it was so that he could trend, because he was about to drop a new album, a new song around, a new song was around the corner. He needed that to trend, because somehow he was an influencer. So he had to make something controversial. And now you are in his comment section dropping all the Bible scriptures that but really, he's deriving something from it and you are deriving something from it. What he's deriving is attention. What you are deriving is a moral high. You see that? And then, of course, there's the community effect. These are the things that outrage does for us. There's the community effects. We bond over shared anger. When somebody says something or you say something and people agree to you feel, okay, this is common ground for the two of us. It's crazy how social media literally is hardwiring, I should say, how we think as human beings in the 21st century, 2025, as a matter of fact. All right. Now, let me ask you, do you think that you are addicted, or you could be addicted to outrage? Do you think you're probably addicted right now to outrage? Do you think that a part of you honestly thrives in the chaotic, that you just want to see people say trash so that you could bust their teeth with scriptures? Do you think that you are addicted to outrage? I mean, you are constantly checking social media looking for what's wrong with people, but what's the thing that people are thinking right now? What are they doing right now? You know what I'm saying? Like life feels boring somewhat if you haven't seen stories or posts that would annoy the frack out of you. All of a sudden you just go on Twitter and you try to start an FC fight. The video is better than whiskey, or you're just constantly looking for somebody. If you're on Twitter, I'll be honest with you. there was a time in my Twitter experience where it wasn't my current Twitter, it was another Twitter account that I had opened at the time, and I discovered all the things that was on the TL were just Bible scriptures, people posting good things. I liked it quite alright, but it wasn't satisfying. I'm like, yeah, I mean, what's the joy? What's the joy in that? So I needed something else. I needed something different. Forgive me, please, but I needed something that would break me out of all that. And so you know what I did?
Are you enjoying this episode of Conversations at Lunch? Make sure to follow Imagine Studios 116 on Instagram and YouTube at Imagine Studios 116 to catch up with the whole crew. Now, back to Conversations at Lunch.
I just went back to my current ex and just followed a couple accounts that post, like I said, controversial stuff. And I love the spice, the drama. And I had no idea that I was being reeled in. It was like a bait, and I was being reeled in. And all of a sudden, there's this, unbeknownst to me, there's this passion for outrage that started burning in my chest. Crazy, but it is true. It is true. Many of us, we feel restless when things are too quiet. When nobody has something to gossip about to you, there's no point to your relationship. Some of us, we have friendships that people we never really talk with, except they have like a gist to give to us. It's crazy, but that's the world we live in. If they don't have a gist for you, tell me something that's happening. I'll tell you something. This is probably my first time talking about this, and I wouldn't talk too much about it. I just want to make a point of reference. I was working somewhere. I worked there for a couple of months, and I left. And I made a deal with myself not to ask about where I left. Conversations don't come up, and people share, some of the people who are my friends, from there, they share some things with me. Yeah. But I made it a deal not to ask. I can just ask how was work. I will never go into details. How is that person? What are they doing now? What? Nah. I mean, many a times they bring conversations to me and I laugh about it. But I made a pact for myself never to ask about what's going on there, because it's not helping me with anything. I'm only trying to feed. When I do that, I'm only trying to feed something. I don't know. I remember years ago, I had a friend who would come to my house every day. We attended secondary school together, high school together, and we hadn't seen in years because I changed school before I finished, my SSC, and so he would come to my house. He came the first time he was busy. He was not busy. He was bored at home. So he reached out to me. Oh yeah, sure, you can come to my house. So he came to my house. We had a cool chat, and then he started talking about a girl who, was a mutual friend of both of us, right? And we both liked this girl. And I asked this girl out. She never agreed, and she accepted to his request, which was weird, right? Now, this is a true story. He would come. Then from that one day, he started coming to my house every other day, and we kept talking about things that happened 3-4 years prior. And if you know anything about me, I don't like to dwell in the past. Stop talking to me about something that happened 4 years ago. If it's not a new information, we're just repeating the same thing every other day. So you know what? I just told him one time, I said, I am not at home. I know I somewhat lied, and I didn't. No, I said somewhat because I actually wasn't home. I actually was at home when I said I wasn't at home. But it was because the following day I was not going to be at home because I went to school. Right? True story. So when I got back, he never knew, and that's how he never returned to my house. Because thankfully I'm not that kind of person, but many of us, we thrive in that chaos. When there's chaos, when there's drama, when there is, like I said, we are addicted to outrage. Show me the, feminists on the TL, show me that guy that's saying rubbish. Let me teach him how we do it here. I'm sorry, I'm wilding. I'm sorry, I'm wilding. Probably I need to sleep. That's why. But then, what are the dangers of outrage culture? What are the dangers of this chaos-filled, chaos-centric, chaotic world? What are the dangers of outrage culture? Number one, like I said earlier, short attention spans. The ability to focus on one thing for a long time begins to deplete because we are used to feeding off several drama happening at the same time. We're used to the drama, we're used to the chaos, and it becomes very hard for us to even sit still. So we have shorter attention spans because we move from one drama to the next without actually finding, resolution or bringing, answer or resolution to any of these things. Another danger is there's always this feeling of pseudo urgency, like false urgency. Like you feel like everything is like a crisis. Oh, we must tell them more. Hey, what will the next generation learn? It's the only people that shout next generation. I reserve my comment. I'll talk about that another day. So there's this pseudo sense of urgency that we get when we do that. Another one is our engagement is often shallow. Right, and this is not in my notes, but I'll slip it in. Another negative consequence of outrage culture is that, aside from the fact that our engagement is low or shallow, we actually then become very offensive, even in our normal conversations. Like, have you ever met someone who you must not mistakenly offer a differing position or opinion to the points they made without being screwed or fried? I've been meaning to talk about this for a while. There is a popular man I love and I adore his work. His name is Sam Sherman, I think. Sherman or Sherman. I'm sorry, I can't pronounce the last name. If this podcast ever blows up, Sam, forgive me. Now, Sam is what you call like an apologist. He's the kind of person who hosts live streams and he challenges Muslims and he tells them about the faith, and he kind of like it was on his page I saw this statement, when the lie is exposed, Islam dies or something. Like I don't know what it was, but it was on his page I saw that. He's a very, very bold guy, very bold. He says the truth for what it is. And it's very outraged, he also feels outraged when he does it. He tells them the truth, just blasts them in the face, literally. It's like he grills them when he's telling them the truth about the word, when he say Jesus is not God and say, oh, Jesus is not God, and then he brings out like 85 scriptures proving that Jesus is God. He's phenomenal. You should check him out. But recently, I caught on to another piece, side piece, and was supposed to be on a certain podcast by a young guy, George Janko, who I follow. And I don't agree to everything George does. This is not me, the disclaimer. I am not in any way saying that you should go listen to George Janko. I just say someone I follow, not like I follow like he's my leader. No, just something I watch his content sometimes. And he was supposed to be on George's podcast. And long story made short, he wasn't, because apparently something had happened. He was in George's house and he disrespected George and his wife. And he said, and I thought it was not true when I heard it. And then I happened to be on YouTube the following day and I saw he was live streaming. I tuned in and I heard this man say those same words again. He said George's wife was going to leave him. And I wondered, how does a man go from, being an evangelist who is bold and, unrepentant about the truth of God's word, to becoming very antagonistic to even his own brothers or his own brother in the faith? And then I discovered that it's because he has fed on so much of this outrage culture. It's affecting even his communication with people who are next to him. Many of us are like that. We suffer this thing badly. The outrage culture has rewired our brains to thinking, they are gonna get it. They must get it. They are always wrong. I'm a woman. You don't know what it means to be a woman. Oh, I'm a man. You have no idea what it means to be a man. And this outrage culture really affects our relationship. I'm telling you the truth. It affects our relationship many times. And then, lastly, of course, spiritual distraction. How can you say that you're renewed in your mind and your thinking if you're still holding on to certain positions, if you're still holding on to certain positions that you saw on the internet? Maybe there'll be a part 2 to this conversation. Probably. You know what you do for me? I want you to record a voice note and send it to the team. We'll try and clip some of these voice notes and put it in the next episode. I want to know what you think. Do you think you also are what now? Do you think you have issues with this as well? Do you think this is your problem? Or do you have someone around you who you think has gotten addicted to the outrage of social media and even just the society, and it's gotten to them bad, it's eating into them? I want to know. Send me a voice note, send it to the team. The mail, whatever, will be down there in the description if you're watching on YouTube or listening on Spotify. Whichever one, you can find the info there. Click on that and send me a mail or send me a voice note. I want to know what you think. Something short, doesn't have to be too long. And you'll play first in the next episode. If you want to do that, fine. If you don't wanna, no problem. I'll just, do a part 2 to the conversation. Definitely, it needs a part 2. All right. Remember this. The position of God on everything has always stemmed from rest, peace. When God instructed Moses to split the Red Sea, Moses was crying. God said, "Why are you crying? What is that in your hand?" In that moment where there's chaos behind him, there's trouble in front of him, the first thing God asks is what he has in his hand. Maybe the solution to your anxiety right now, the solution to escaping the troubles behind you and the trouble in front of you, is by you taking inventory of what is in your hand. Social media is a good thing sometimes, but sometimes it's the one poison, the one toxin in your system. So what is in your hand? This conversation will be continued 2 Fridays from now. My name is Emmanuel. I love you, and I'm glad that you are a part of the Conversations at Lunch family. I see you when I see you, and when I see you, ooh, baby girl, believe me, it will be better. Love you, and ciao.
Pretty sure you enjoyed this episode of Conversations at Lunch. Make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications to be alerted when a new episode drops. This podcast was powered by Imagine Studios 116.